Welcome to our short film, specially made for the TUTORO Auto Beta testers. In this film we will give you a short overview of the unit and how it works. We'll identify its parts and discuss various mounting options. The unit is operated by taking advantage of the vertical movement transmitted to the bike by the undulations of the road surface when the bike is in motion. This means that the unit is entirely independent and requires no connection to any of the bike's electrical or vacuum systems. Okay, now we just talk about the components. At the top here we have the cap. It's a very simple push on, pull off cap. Just one thing to note whilst it's still on there is that it has a slight overhang at this point here, and that is to allow any rainwater to run over and down the side of the reservoir and not into the reservoir. Okay, so pull the cap off and note that it has a breather hole in there to allow air to get through here into the reservoir to allow oil to come out of it. Whilst we're talking about the reservoir, this is constructed from 3mm wall thickness acrylic tube and it's very, very strong. Inside the clear reservoir you can see a black column with 3 screws at the bottom and a brass weight at the top. This is part of what we call the primary valve assembly. There is nothing for the user to do there, it simply forms part of the automatic switching that goes on when the unit is in motion. What the user does need to pay attention to is this screw here, which is a needle valve. Turning the needle valve in an anti-clockwise direction will increase the amount of oil which is allowed out of the spigot at the bottom here. If you turn it in a clockwise direction, you will decrease the amount of oil, or the flow rate if you like, coming out of the spigot at the bottom. The spigot, as we've just said there, that's where you connect the oil delivery tube. A simple push fit. It might be a bit tight, but if you warm the hose slightly in some warm water it will slip on quite easily and provide a nice firm fit. Lastly, there are 2 holes cut into the web at the bottom of the unit. One on the left, one on the right. These are so that you can mount the unit either-handed. You can have it either like that or like that, depending on the position you're going to mount it on the bike. Okay, now we're going to go through mounting the oiler on your bike. We've designed a special mounting bracket which maximizes your fitting options. As you can see, the bracket consists of these 3 parts which can be fitted together in a number of ways. I'll go through those now. I've now assembled the bracket in one of the permutations it can go into. In this instance I've assumed that you've got a horizontal bar that you want to fix to. So here's the foot bracket down here at the bottom. Here's the middle or the dog leg back bracket, and this is the right angle bracket here. Okay, using this particular configuration you can see I still have the foot attached here, but I've only used one of the other bits of the bracket, so just the little dog leg. The right angle bracket in this configuration would be redundant. I've done this so that it's representing a vertical bar or a vertical frame member. One thing I should point out every single occasion is that the aim of this bracket is to keep the oiler as vertical as possible. That means that you can maximize the amount of oil that's in the reservoir, and also the mechanism works within a few degrees of vertical, but it's best in the vertical position. Okay, in this configuration you can see I've used all 3 parts of the bracket again. This is to represent that if you had a space that was below a bar that's on an angle there in the inside of a triangle, if you like. And what I've done here, if I move it around, you can see that what I've done is the foot part here, and combined with the dog leg and the right angle, has moved the unit, the oiler, out and away from fouling the side of the bar there. So although you have a space underneath, you've managed to move the oiler out of the way of the bar and fix it in a vertical position. Okay, you can see here that we've mounted the unit above a beam that's on a tangent, and if I turn this round, you can see how we've done that. You have the foot at the bottom, which on the production models is coated in rubber so it doesn't scratch the frame of the motorcycle, the dog leg and the right angle. So you can see from these examples how versatile this bracket setup is. You can do almost any configuration with it. These four are not exhaustive, there are several more that you can use with it. I'm sure with a little bit of forethought, before you put it together on your bike, you'll find the best one for you. Okay, I've just set this up now so that you can see the priming operation. So once you've chosen the most suitable position for your oiler, fix the bracket to your bike frame and attach the unit to the bracket. Then attach the oil delivery tube down here to the spigot on the bottom and route that to the rear chain, and then using the nozzle adjust it so that the oil would drip onto the rear sprocket. The unit now needs to be primed, and this is a once only operation. So you remove the cap, fill with oil, but no further than the very bottom of this brass weight, or just above the top of the black column in the middle there. The reason for that is that if you overfill past that point, when you put the cap in, oil will be displaced by the cap and will squirt out the top, and also the oil will have a damping action on the weight. So the weight must be clear of the top of the oil. That's the brass object here. It doesn't matter if the oil gets onto the weight, just as long as the oil level is no higher than the bottom of the weight. Okay, now to show you the priming operation, on the units which are the production units, on the top of this brass weight there's actually a bit that you can grip it with, but I'm just using a piece of wire here because it's easier to show you what I'm doing and not get my fingers in the way. So to prime the unit, you need to open the screw at the bottom here, twisting it anti-clockwise so that perhaps 3 or 4 threads are showing out of the brass threaded insert. Now the next thing you do is you simply lift the brass weight. It only lifts about 3 or 4 millimeters, and you just have to lift it up like that, and that's opening the primary valve and allowing the oil to flow down through the system, and you should be able to see it now flowing down the oil delivery tube. It's a once only operation, and once the oil delivery tube is full all the way to the nozzle, you simply let go. Now the unit is ready for operation. But do remember to readjust your needle valve, otherwise you'll have oil coming out very quickly. Just perhaps leave a couple of threads clear and try it from there. Okay, just a few words on safety, a few do's and don'ts. Don't put any solvents into the unit. Don't use automatic transmission fluid. Always use new, clean oil. Always check your oiler is correctly and firmly mounted prior to setting off on a journey. Always make sure the lid is replaced after filling the reservoir and is correctly replaced. Always ensure that your oiler has not leaked since your last journey. And always carry out a visual safety check of your vehicle and oiler prior to any journey. So in conclusion, your Beta unit will be supplied with everything you need, including oil. You just need to choose the most suitable place on your bike to mount the oiler. Assemble the bracket and fit that to your bike, and then attach the oiler to the bracket. Route the oil delivery tube and the nozzle to your chain, and tie in place with the cable ties provided. Fill the reservoir with oil and prime the unit, as we've just demonstrated. Then you just need to go for a ride, and when you return you can adjust the oil flow using the needle valve accordingly, depending on the condition of your chain. Good luck, and thanks for taking part in the TUTORO Auto Beta testing stage.